Many people use pressure to get what they want from their loved ones and friends. The pressure often comes in the form of repeated requests or demands that can range from soft to hard, persistent to subtle. The goal of this pressure is to make the other person feel like they have no choice but to comply. From the outside, this type of pressure can be difficult to detect and even more difficult to deal with. It can leave the person on the receiving end feeling trapped and helpless. But there is a way to combat this pressure and regain a sense of control. The first step is to recognize when someone is pressuring you and to call it out for what it is. For example, a colleague who repeatedly insists that you stay late to finish a project, despite your repeated refusals, is exerting pressure. Or a friend who constantly insists that you go out when you would rather stay home could be seen as pressuring you. Don't be afraid to ask the person directly. They are trying to pressure you into doing something. This can be an effective way to disrupt the pattern of pressure and to open up a dialogue about the situation. Another approach is to set clear boundaries and to communicate them firmly but respectfully. This could involve saying no to requests or demands that you are not comfortable with, or it could involve setting limits on how much time or energy you are willing to devote to a particular situation or person. For example, you could tell your colleague that you will not stay late to finish the project, and that you will work on it during regular work hours. It's also important to remember that pressure can come from many sources, and that the best way to deal with it will vary depending on the situation. In some cases, it may be appropriate to compromise or to negotiate a compromise. For instance, you could agree to meet your friend for a short coffee break instead of going out all night. In other cases, it may be more appropriate to simply walk away. For instance, if a romantic partner pressures you into physical intimacy when you are not ready or comfortable, it's important to recognize that this is not a healthy relationship. Ultimately, the key to dealing with pressure is to be aware of it, to understand what drives it, and to have the courage to stand up for yourself and to assert your own needs and wants. Self-awareness and assertiveness are essential skills to develop in order to navigate through the pressure. Moreover, the concept of social pressure or normative influence has been studied in psychology for years. It refers to the impact that others have on our actions and decisions. Studies have shown that social pressure is a powerful force that can be used to influence people's behavior, and that it's more effective when it comes from people we trust and respect. A classic study on social pressure was conducted by Solomon Asch in the 1950s, where he demonstrated that people often conform to the opinions of a group, even when they know those opinions to be clearly wrong. This experiment showed that people have a strong desire to be liked and accepted by others, and that this desire can lead them to conform to the opinions and behaviors of a group, even when those opinions and behaviors are not in line with their own beliefs. Another study by Robert Cialdini, a leading expert on persuasion, has shown that people are more likely to comply with a request when they perceive it to be the norm or the default option. This is known as the principle of social proof. In his study, Cialdini placed a sign next to a hotel's swimming pool that said "Please do not disturb the other guests," and found that the number of guests who complied with the request to keep the noise down increased significantly. In addition to these studies, other research has also shown that social pressure can have a significant impact on decision-making and behavior. For example, a study on smoking behavior found that individuals were more likely to quit smoking when they perceived that it was less socially acceptable within their social group. While social pressure can be used to influence behavior, it's important to remember that it can also be used to manipulate and control. This is why it's important to be aware of the pressure being exerted on us and to make sure that our decisions align with our own values and needs. In summary, pressure can come from many different sources, and it's important to recognize and address it in order to regain a sense of control over our lives. By understanding the different forms of pressure, the motivations behind it, and learning how to effectively communicate your boundaries and assert yourself, you can successfully navigate through the pressure and make decisions that align with your own values and needs. Additionally, Scientific studies have shown that social pressure can have a significant impact on our behavior, and it's important to be aware of the ways in which it can be used to influence us, both positively and negatively.